He said ready.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dean Shatley. I'm the attorney for the Buncombe County Board of Education. Tonight is a special evening as we will be swearing in newly elected and re-elected members to the Board of Education. And also it is by law, since it's December, it is the board's organizational meeting, so we will also be electing a chair and a vice chair. Before we get to the swearing in and the elections, however, would you please rise and join in the presentation of the colors.
Forward, march. Detail, hold, pose, present, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Forward, march.
Please remain standing. But before we go to have a moment of silence, I would like for us to really appreciate what these young people have done here tonight. And I would like to thank the Inca High School JROTC, who's instructed by Major Kevin Denboer, U.S. Air Force retired, and Master Sergeant Douglas Draper, U.S. Air Force retired. And certainly would also like to thank the beautiful performance by the T.C. Robertson High School Chamber Choir, instructed by Lisa Baker. Let's give them all another round of applause. Now, if you would join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Board members, we're going to now move into the swearing-in ceremony. I would like to welcome Buncombe County District Court Judge, the Honorable Ward D. Scott. Thank you, Judge Scott, for being here with us today. I believe Mr. Elliott is going to go first. And certainly if Mr. Elliott has, or anybody has family members that is going to hold the Bible, please come on down.
So that's the camera. So let's make sure you're forward. Okay. All right. Place your left hand on the Bible. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, James Robertson Elliott III,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be
or may be
established for the government thereof,
established for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge
to the best of my knowledge
and ability,
and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name,
I, James Robertson Elliott III,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will well
that I will well
and truly execute
and truly execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
for Buncombe County,
for Buncombe County,
according to the best of my skill
according to the best of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
and according to law.
and according to law.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Can I recognize his family and ask him to stand?
Yes, please. You want me to do it?
Yeah. After he finishes. You signed your life away 3 times.
If Mr. Elliott's family is in the audience, would like to stand and be recognized.
Yes.
I was just going to have them stand. You're going to make them.
Well, Stacey's going to have everybody come down. Pictures.
Next is Ms. Lewis.
Yes. Okay.
What we want to do is we want to make absolutely certain when the camera comes in, we get a good view of you. All right, if you'll place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Judy Lewis,
do solemnly
do solemnly
and sincerely swear
and sincerely swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to the best of my knowledge and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name,
I, Judy Lewis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will well
that I will well
and truly execute
and truly execute
the duties
the duties
of the office
of the office
of member of the Board of Education
of member of the Board of Education
for Buncombe County,
for Buncombe County,
according to the best of my skill
according to the best of my skill
and ability,
and ability,
and according to law,
and according to law.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Pictures, Judy. Well, do you want to
If you
sign?
don't mind, yeah. Sure.
And finally, Ms. Clemens.
Just signed a bunch of money away. My husband coached his son a few years ago, right?
It was last year.
That's it.
We're not that old.
That's right.
And my wife made me promise if, when I came here today, the first thing I need to do is come say hi to you under threat of some type of injury.
She's a sweetheart. Thank
She's
you.
all. If you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Kimberly Greenwood Clemens,
do solemnly
do solemnly
and sincerely swear
swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true
to the
allegiance
state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities
and authorities
which are
which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor
I will
endeavor
endeavor
to support,
to support,
maintain,
maintain,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
to the best
to the best
of my knowledge and ability.
to my knowledge and ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
I state your name.
I, Kimberly Greenwood Clemens,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will well
that I will well
and truly
and truly
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office
of the office
of member
of member
of the Board of Education
of the Board of Education
for Buncombe County,
for Buncombe County,
according to the best
according to the
of
best
my skill and ability,
of my skill and ability,
and according to law.
and according to law,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love you.
I want a picture. The rest of them are on their way.
Oh,
There's an X on the floor. Oh, that's it.
Can you take one more? I would ready.
It's all about social media.
Thank you.
Gotta make it.
They can see you silent. They can see me silent, that's right.
Just call down whoever you'd like to be in the photo.
I'd like my family to come back. The tower, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Yep. Yeah, you can just take one copy. Yep, and then we'll give one to each member.
Thank you.
I don't know about that.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the board, Judge Scott, thank you very much for being here and sharing your time with us. We're very appreciative. So, yep. Congratulations to the new board members. Thank you. And welcome to the board. We are going to move on to the election of the board chair. Board members, I will give you a couple rules that we're going to follow when we do this. I will open the nominations for chair first. We'll do the election of chair, and then we'll open nominations for the vice chair. A nomination does not require a second, so any nomination is sufficient as long as the person accepts the nomination. If only one person is nominated, we will take the vote by voice vote. If multiple people are nominated, we will do a hand count vote. Any questions before we begin? At this time, I would like to open up the floor for nominations for chair of the Board of Education.
Mr. Shatley, I would like to nominate Anne Franklin as board chair.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Ms. Franklin, do you accept?
I do.
Are there any other nominations for chair? Seeing none, I will close the floor. Any debate? All in favor of Anne Franklin as chair of the Buncombe County Board of Education, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Turning to vice chair at this time, are there any nominations for vice chair? Somebody has to do it.
Judy, go ahead. And nominate.
I would like to nominate Amy Churchill to continue as vice chair.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Ms. Churchill, do you accept the nomination?
Sure.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I'm going to close the floor. Ms. Churchill has been nominated for vice chair. She's the only nominee. Is there any further discussion or debate? All in favor of Ms. Churchill, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Congratulations. Ms. Churchill is the vice chair.
Thank you.
Hopefully you are done with me this evening. Madam Chair,
I
I will
wouldn't count on it.
turn it over to you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shatley. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We need to wake up here, boys and girls. We got a meeting going on. Okay, our curriculum feature is next, and I'll recognize Ms. Reed, soon to be Dr. Reed.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Jackson, and members of the board. As you can tell by the beautiful performance of our T.C. Robertson Chamber Choir, the arts are alive and well in Buncombe County Schools. I am proud to say that Buncombe County Schools strongly supports a well-rounded education for our students, including academics, athletics, and the arts. Our arts program is very passionately led by Laura Mitchell, standing to my left, and I would like to invite her this evening to tell you more about our arts program. Thank you, Madam Chair, Board, Dr. Jackson, Mr. Huff, directors, principals, teachers, community members, families, and students. I'm here just to share a little bit about the arts in Buncombe County Schools with you. And we have a screen. Can I have the screen come down? Oh, okay. Awesome. So the arts are important, and our society and our workforce depends on graduates who are innovative, who are creative, who are problem solvers, and who are elastic. All right. Here we go. All right. Thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you, everyone who's here this evening. I'm Laura Mitchell, the arts specialist for Buncombe County Schools, and I'm just here to share a little brief bit about the arts here in Buncombe County. And the arts are important. They're important to our society and our workforce. Our workforce depends on graduates who are innovative and creative, who are problem solvers and collaborators. And we have, from Senate Bill 66, this three-prong approach to arts education. So it's arts education, arts exposure, and arts integration. And we do all three of these here in Buncombe County Schools. We are led by 99 highly qualified music, art, dance, and theater teachers. Arts education has been demonstrated to increase motivation and engagement, and these teachers definitely do that for our students here in Buncombe County Schools. It starts with our kindergartners, and all of our kindergarten through fifth grade students take music and art weekly. Arts education can close achievement gaps and improve academic skills in math and science, reading and language development, and other areas of the curriculum. If you see the little boy on the top right, he's actually drawing a literal heart. And this is connected with our ELA curriculum, Wit and Wisdom, where they're talking about literal and figurative hearts. And so we love how our teachers collaborate with the other non-arts content area teachers. Middle school, it continues. We have 5,383 6th through 8th graders enrolled in the arts in Buncombe County Schools, taking visual art, general music, vocal music, band, orchestra, creative dramatics, and musical theater. And then it continues. It all started in kindergarten, and here they are in high school. We have 3,484 students, and they also have access to AP courses, dance, and music specialization courses in high school. Arts education accelerates student performance, and it teaches discipline and teamwork, and it improves our students' self-esteem. In June of 2020, the North Carolina Senate passed the North Carolina Arts Education graduation requirement. And so we are excited to ensure that every student of ours has to get one semester of an arts course from 6th through 12th grade, one semester. And so we'll make sure that happens. And this will start with the sixth grade class of this year. The second prong, well, the first prong is arts education. That's what we do every day in our arts classrooms. And our teachers are doing things outside of the classroom as well, taking students to competitions at colleges and universities, to MPA, for adjudication, for being out in the community. And we also have so many community partners. So arts integration is where you're taking an art area and a non-arts area and learning those standards through an arts, showing their understanding through an art form. So I have some of our community partners up there. In fact, tonight, some of our teachers are at Leaf Global Arts doing PD on arts integration because we have a partnership with the Kennedy Center since 2018. We have an A+ school, which is an arts integrated school at Black Mountain Primary. This, I work with our curriculum specialist, Brian Macarelli, who's the science specialist, and he and I work together with the Asheville Museum of Science, and we work with project-based learning. We have so many opportunities through our community partnerships for arts integration. And you can see some examples up there. I love the one on the left. It's Blackbeard, and the student has written a story about Blackbeard, and then they act out the story and show their understanding of the history. The third prong is arts exposure. Just today, one of our elementary schools went to see Elf the Musical at the ACT. We have students seeing their older peers performing in front of them at their elementary schools. And of course, taking our students to an actual art museum where they're not just looking on a tiny screen on their phone, and using those critical thinking skills to analyze art in person is very powerful. We host 5 all-county events, and we've had 2 so far this year. Our all-county chorus is there on the screen with the clinic, and they work with a clinician from out of state, or from another part of the state, or out of state. And we also host our intermediate elementary chorus all-county event, where students from every single elementary and intermediate school participate. Our middle school all-county chorus, our all-county middle and high school orchestra, our all-county middle and high school band, our all-county art shows, and then our students also participate in all district events, all state, as well as other national events. So, that is just a tiny sprinkling of all the many things that our students are doing and our teachers are doing in our schools. And so we have a Facebook page. I invite everybody to follow us on Facebook. It's BCS Arts. And we also have an arts calendar on our website. So that's on the Buncombe County Schools website. If you click on arts and then click on the calendar, you'll be able to see lots of opportunities to get out into the schools to see performances and so forth. So I just want to thank everyone for believing that arts education is an essential component of a comprehensive, rigorous, and balanced education for all children in North Carolina schools. So thank you so much, and thank you for supporting us. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our entertainment for the evening. We have members of the T.C. Robertson High School Chamber Choir. The members present with us this evening are Arden Bodie, Nina Burnworth, Henry Klickner, Sam Collette, Harry Ferguson, Kennedy Kubika, Phoebe Smith, and they are directed by Miss Elisa Baker, who's in her 27th year of teaching, was a 2014 Robertson District Teacher of the Year, the North Carolina Music Educator Association 2021 Choral Teacher of the Year, and serves on the board of NCMEA. They will perform tonight Salmo 150 by Ernani Aguilera, A Winter's Heart by Mark Hayes, and a Ukrainian folk song arranged by Wilhowski called Carol of the Bells. Thank you.
bells all seem to say, throw cares away, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old. Ding dong, ding dong, glad is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, oh, hear the bells tell their tones, filling the ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here, ding dong, ding dong, that is the song, with joyful ring, all caroling. On, only send on without end, their joyful tone to every home. Hark, while the bells, sweet separate bells, all seem to say, throw cares away, Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, glad is the song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, oh, the bells tell their tone, filling the ring, while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here, ding dong, that is the song, with joyful ring, all caroling. On, only send on without end, their joyful tone to every home. On, on they send on without end, their joyful tone to every home. Ding dong, ding dong.
We're on TV.
Community. I grew up in the Shenandoah Valley, a proud native of Buncombe County. Though I may have grown up in humble circumstances, my dreams and opportunities were not limited. Incredible teachers, staff members, and administrators loved and challenged me. They refused to accept less than my very best and helped me see that with hard work, I could achieve my dreams. Having now visited all 45 of our schools, I can share with you today that I see this same story playing out in the 45 schools that make up our great school system. I see our teachers and staff pouring themselves into the lives of children, adolescents, and teenagers that we are blessed to serve. I see the difference they are making. I want to invite members of the community to join in this work. You see, you too can make a difference. When you share your time, talents, or treasures to support the work of Buncombe County Schools, you are helping to create learning without limits. You're helping to ensure that students from Barnardsville to Black Mountain, from Leicester to Fairview, from Pisgah to Arden, from Weaverville to Woodfin, from Avery's Creek to Hall Creek, and all points in between have access to amazing learning opportunities and the potential to achieve their dreams. If you're interested in learning how you can help out, I would encourage you to reach out to your school's principal about the possibility of volunteering in the schools, or in this season of giving to the Buncombe County Schools Foundation to learn more about how your gifts of time, talent, or treasures may help our students. I want to join the board in welcoming Mr. Elliott and Mrs. Clemens to this board. Thank you both for daring to offer yourself to serve the community, for the long hours of study and service that you will give, and for the leadership you will share. I wish you the very best as we embark on this new adventure together. I'm excited to continue the superintendent's listening and learning adventure, 100 days of discovery and exploration. I've begun the next phase of this exciting adventure, spending a full school day in each school in the school system. During these visits, I'm visiting classrooms, observing and participating in PLCs, meeting with school staff members, helping with lunchroom duty, volunteering to read with students, and having a whole lot of fun as I get to know the strengths and the challenges of each of our schools. After the holidays, I will conduct town hall-style meetings in each district and online to have the opportunity to meet parents and community members. I'll also be attending town council meetings in each municipality, and earlier this week had the opportunity to attend my first Buncombe County Commissioners meeting. Throughout all these visits and in each of the meetings, I'll be asking 3 questions and have been asking 3 questions. What do you love best about this school system? What should never change in this school system, and what should I be working on first? As you heard tonight, I've enjoyed our holiday concerts across the county as our vocalists and band members have shared their talents with the community. On Sunday, I had the opportunity to attend Annie Jr. and heard our elementary, intermediate, and middle school students share their gifts. We are gifted with amazing student musicians and with the incredible staff who lead them. I'd also like to congratulate the Owen High School men's cross-country team and the Owen High School men's soccer team, who each won the 2A state championship. We're very proud of the War Horses and of all of our student athletes across the county. As I shared last month, in this moment, we recognize that we do stand on the shoulders of giants. We face the challenges before us. We know that students, families, and the community have never needed a strong, loving, and caring school system as much as they do now. We accept this challenge. We commit to each and every one of our students. We will elevate to new and majestic heights. We'll give our all because our students are worthy of our very best efforts. To our team and to our board members, thank you for all that you do for the students, families, teachers, and staff of Buncombe County Schools. May you each enjoy an incredible holiday season. Madam Chair, this concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Next on the agenda is good news, and it's Stacia Harris' turn. Dr. Harris.
Finally. Good evening, Dr. Jackson, Madam Chair, members of the board. For our good news item this evening, we'd like to recognize our retired Director of Student Services, David Thompson. Mr. Thompson, if you could stand right in the middle.
X marks the
right there.
square, David.
Right on the X. To help us with this recognition, we'll have Shannon Martin and Michelle Smith take the podium to tell us all about the 2022 School Mental Health Champion Award. This was awarded by the National Center for School Mental Health.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Jackson. As a point of personal privilege, I met David 23 years ago when I was a political science graduate, substitute teaching in a classroom for children with mental health difficulties, and look where it landed us. So I am grateful for the contribution he's made to my life, but I am so grateful for our community and our school system for the contribution he has made to that. I'm going to hand it over for a moment to Michelle Smith, who nominated David for this award.
I too met David in 1998, I believe, at that same school, which is where I met Shannon. And there's not enough time, there's not enough words to tell you what this man has done for Buncombe County Schools. He is phenomenal. His work and the advancement of school mental health and advancement of SEL and positive behavior knows no bounds. And everything I know, besides giving God the glory, I'll give to David.
Well, that was a different introduction. I was reflecting when I was in the audience about how many times I've been in this room for board meetings and for other meetings, and how many times I've stood behind this podium addressing the board. But this is the first time I've been here as an unemployed guest. It has been my privilege.
Receives retirement benefits.
I'm not working right now. Dr. Jackson and board members, it has been my pleasure to be part of the school system for 36 years. Most of that time has been in our special ed department, where I really worked with our most in need, and I don't say at risk, our students who are most in need of additional support. But for the last 15 years, I worked as the director of student services. So I very quickly assessed and began learning from the excellent counselors and social workers in our district, and recognized that their potential was very much untapped in how they could benefit our district. So during that time that we were here, we've been able to not only increase the number of school counselors that we have working directly with our students and our teachers, but we've increased our social workers. There were 6 when I got here. We have 30 now. And we've been able to recognize that we can't do this work alone. We must have community partners like United Way, who runs our community schools programs, who've taught us so much about restorative practices. The social emotional learning piece kind of came as a new learning for me. And I began learning that we can't expect our students to achieve academically and to grow into the people and the good humans that we want them to be without teaching them how to get there, without modeling for them and integrating our teaching practices to make certain that we are helping them meet their needs, not meeting their needs for them, but helping them meet their needs. So it's been my privilege to do that. I've had the chance to work at not only the district level, but within the community, at the state level, helping to draft and present a state board of mental health policy, and some at the national level, which is where this award came from. I will say that we have served as a model for many of those districts. We have been the leader in that work. I have one piece of unfinished business, and I'm going to say that really quickly. It has been part of my vision that I established over years, that we have a consistent and predictable district-wide code of conduct that blends both traditional disciplinary consequences with opportunities to learn from their behaviors, learn from their mistakes, and to restore those relationships, thank you, Laura, with others and with their teachers and with their administrators in that process. That works in process. It's going on without me. Hopefully that I can contribute to that in some way. But I would like to again thank the board for the opportunity and my staff. One of our social workers is in the audience. They're magnificent professionals who are really dedicated to our students, and I thank them also. Thank you very much.
For Dr. Casta, our current Student Services Director, and myself, that as we face really unusual times in caring for our children and our families, we are grateful to stand on David's shoulders. We would not have the foundation for the work and the growth that we are doing now to continue to help our students be healthy emotionally and physically and ready for their best future. So we are grateful for his leadership. We are grateful for the partnerships that we continue to grow, because we know that we only help our students be ready for employment, enlistment, or enrollment if we have partnerships with our community. We can't do this by ourselves in the schoolhouse anymore, and we are grateful for those community partnerships, and we continue to grow them. And we are grateful for the leadership that Dr. Jackson and almost Dr. Reed, Mr. Huff, the board, and all of our senior leadership, and again, for Dr. Casta, who's taken on the role after David, which is a hard thing to follow through. So thank you for your time tonight. Good news often is best delivered in short spurts, so we're going to stop and do our photo op, but we appreciate your time tonight.
Congratulations, David.
At this time, we'll recognize public comment.
Madam Chair, we have one public comment tonight. It is John Brigham.
John?
Thank you. My name is John Brigham. The subject here is subsidized housing for teachers. I think subsidized housing for teachers is a bad idea. Let's say you have $1.2 million earmarked to help teachers. How are we going to help teachers and contribute to education in the area? Let's build buildings. We can put $1.2 million down toward the $7 million needed for the buildings. We can hire architects, find a builder, and then watch the creation of a new building. Within the human condition, there's no higher activity than creativities, and buildings are a big one. Build creations, build buildings, apartment buildings. It's fun. Architects, builders, finance, institutions. We can hire people to administer the whole thing. Lots of money floating around. There might be kickbacks. You never know. Decades later, they will still add to the value of the community. What is not to like? But there's a problem. If the idea is to help teachers, maybe this is not the best route. Any economist can tell you that if you want to financially help someone, just give them money. No middleman, no dilution of funds. Sorry, no kickbacks, no nothing, just money going to people who need it. And after all, teachers, even new teachers, are adults. They're grown-ups. But wait, we cannot find teachers because they are not paid enough to live here. The cost of housing is too high. That argument is not true. A one-bedroom apartment in Asheville is about $1,200 a month. Adding the local salary supplement to the teacher's salary gives a yearly salary of almost $44,000 for starting teachers in Buncombe County. The argument that new teachers cannot afford to live in Asheville is not true. There's no defense for subsidized housing for teachers on an economic level. But there's a very dark and evil side to it. Our educational institutions in the United States are a mess. The best and brightest are actively funneled away from education. Teachers are not paid enough. Everyone knows that. They are not given the respect they deserve. Everyone knows that. I want to quickly mention another issue. Only in teaching are the most difficult assignments given to the newest, least experienced professional, a typical American high school. The difficult ninth graders are funneled into one classroom, and then that class is given to the new teacher. The heavy lifting in any school is done by new teachers. The public does not know this. Our educational institutions in the United States are a mess. Subsidized housing for teachers is like building monuments to segregation. Around 1900, there was a subculture in America that was afraid it would lose hold. So they built monuments to preserve a system that needed to be gone. The Vance Monument was built to strengthen a system that needed to be gone. Subsidized housing for teachers is the same idea. Do we need to put bricks and mortar to an idea that needs to be changed? Subsidized housing for teachers is absolutely not defensible. I'm looking at a group of intelligent and caring people. I really believe you will not promote this nonsense. If it comes up, I want to talk to the perpetrators. I wanted someone to come up to me and look me in the eye and defend this garbage. Where does this come from? That's what I want to know. Is that good timing or what?
Mr. Bingham, could you please tell us what your address? Sorry?
I live at 44 Forest Hill Drive.
Thank you. We just needed to know the district that you were speaking from.
I live in Asheville. Okay?
Asheville City?
Correct.
Yes, thank you. I want to take a point of personal privilege now, and many of you have noticed that Ray Bailey is in our presence tonight. Ray Bailey used to employ me. He wrote me up for misbehavior. I can't imagine why. That's a point that he enjoys to bring up in conversations. So, Ray, would you stand, please, and let us acknowledge your presence?
Madam Chair, may I say something about Mr. Bailey? He happens to be my advisor. He has been advising me since I was 16 years old, as he is my brother-in-law, and I'm very proud to say that. So when I decided to run for the Board of Education, he and Mr. Bryant and Al Whitesides were the folks that I went to. So I'm thankful to have Ray in my life.
I'd just like for you guys to know that I overcame that reprimand that I got from Mr. Bailey, and I have survived. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the action portion. And the first item on the action agenda is the budget amendment number 1. That's Ms. Thorpe. Are there questions from board members concerning this item? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Woodfin Elementary School procurement of playground equipment. That's Mr. Fearley. There he is. Are questions from board members concerning this item? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
It's okay.
Did I have a question?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure this has already been budgeted for. This was in our previous budgets, just so people realize that.
Sure. So we're just formalizing the motion, the item, the purchase tonight. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is the approval of contract for Smart Bus programming software, Edulog. And are there questions for Mr. Stowe on this item?
I had one question, if I might. Mr. Jeremy, yes. First of all, I'm very pleased to see that something like this is coming to existence, hopefully in our system. I was wondering about it mentioned in the course of my reading that there would be ongoing training for participants. Would this be at the school level or at the central office level and then shed abroad?
Yes, ma'am.
Via our directors or what?
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Lewis. So essentially, we'll be reworking the way we do business in the bus world. We know that we have a finite number of drivers, and with that, we're experiencing awesome driver woes across the county and across the nation in general. What we'll do specific with implementation of this Edulog software is first off, we'll roll out a new GPS program. Right now, we've been doing some historical data tracking of where those buses are located. The second phase of it is rework our routing software in conjunction with the Edulog software or the GPS software, all in hopes of having a point of access for parents so that they're well aware of when the bus is coming, who's driving the bus, or maybe not who's driving the bus, but what time the bus will get there. I circle all that back around to the specifics of your questions. First off will be a soft rollout with the GPS and knowing, kind of rebranding our GPS software. The second piece will be a pilot in one of our respective 6 districts with a final summer work rollout for school admin, parent users, office staff, etc., with a big blast of parents so that they've got a good idea of what time the bus is coming and really try to work on that consistent message to the families in the community.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Other board members? I have, let me entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I just want to say, I ride buses from time to time. Sometimes I fall off of handicap buses. But anyhow, it was so amazing when I rode a handicap bus to watch that driver and the relationship that she had built with the families. And on that particular morning, it was foggy, and she had to pull off the side of the road. She picked up her cell phone and called that family to tell them that she was going to be 20 minutes late. And I was so impressed by that relationship that driver had created with that family. And it's just wonderful to show what our bus drivers do and how they protect our students. Thank you, Mr. So. All right, next item on the agenda is sole source procurement request, Radio Communications Company. This is Mr. Frisbee. Are there questions about this?
Yeah, I do have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Frisbee. Okay. You've changed your looks a little bit.
I'm going to try to answer it, and if we had to call Mr. Frisbee out here, we will.
Thanks, Mr. Huff. I was just curious if you could help explain the purpose of sole source procurement requests and why, Radio Communications Company.
This one really is
Falls in that
twofold
category.
based on the dollar amount in order to, but also because this is a state grant, there is actually a timeline on it by June 1st that it has to be completed. Other different venues or people that we can get this through were considered. However, based on the dollar amount and more specifically the June 1st deadline, this was the only one that can meet that time.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is sole source procurement request, Paramount Security Consultants, LLC. Also, Mr. Frisbee, are there questions on this item?
I just have a similar set of questions. Along the same lines, the need for the sole source procurement request for this vendor.
Not to be too short, but it is for the exact same reason.
Same thing? Same reasons, thank you.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion. Are there other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, approval of school improvement plans 2022, 2023. Ms. Reed, Are there questions from the board concerning the calendar? I'm sorry, the school improvement plans. Yes, I read those. Anybody have comments about or questions?
I just was going to say thank you to the school improvement teams because I know a lot of work goes into these, and it's really, I guess, the foundation for how our schools operate in educating our kids. So thank you so much for all the work that you put into these.
And Madam Chair, if I could just add to that, I did have a chance to read those, and one of the things I would say is most of them were very thorough, very specific on what they're doing for the improvement that's needed, and I appreciated the time and the effort. And the thing is, I want to make sure the public knows, parents know that they can actually view those. Go online to your school, and it says School Improvement Plan. Click on those and take a look at those. If there's any questions that parents may have, I think that's a great way to go in and look at those.
Thank you. Others?
Yeah, I would like to echo that because after our last meeting, there was a lot of, a bit of parent chatter about what we were doing to support our low-performing schools and what was happening administratively at those schools. And there were some changes this summer. I feel like there's a lot of decision-making that goes into the thought process of all of this that people just don't realize. So this isn't just an easy, simple plan. These school improvement plans are incredibly thorough, and if you haven't taken the time to read them, you should before you want to come out and kind of complain about them, because that plan obviously isn't being put on the action agenda, but those are very readily available documents that anybody has access to. So I encourage everybody to take a look at those if you are concerned about what is happening.
Thank you. Others?
Yeah, I had a question for Ms. Reed, if she could help clarify, the role of the school improvement team within the school. What's the makeup of that school improvement team? How often do they meet? And what was the process for developing, these school improvement plans?
So it starts with a general statute that governs the makeup of the school improvement team and the frequency upon which they meet. Every school improvement team does have to have parents, and those parents are elected through the school's largest parent organization, which is typically a PTA or PTO. And within the legislation, schools often create and adopt their own bylaws of the way that they do business under the way that the law is written. Our school improvement teams do meet at least monthly. Our schools that are designated as low performing have actually 2 recorded meetings in that NC STAR platform to ensure that they are readily and regularly carrying out the business of the school. So the bottom line is that the school improvement team is the governing body of each school.
And that NC STAR format, that is actually part of state law?
So NC STAR format is part of the way the Department of Public Instruction carries out the law in reference to schools with low-performing designations. We decided as a district last year to go ahead and adopt the use of NC STAR as our school improvement platform across the district. It just ensures consistency, especially in relation to the district's ability to support schools as they carry out the process.
Is there any percentage of, mandated in our policy around the percentage of parents that are meant to be on that school improvement team?
The law reads parents, and so we ask schools to have at least 2.
And is there any room for student input in those school improvement teams, or are there students involved at all?
Students are involved, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Shatley, I know at the high school level, and I believe at the middle school level as well.
I think so. I mean, there's no prohibition on it.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Other questions from other board members? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The approval of district preliminary support plan for schools designated as low performing in 2022 and 2023. Questions for Ms. Reed?
Madam Chair, I do have a question. So, Ms. Reed, almost Dr. Reed, because I do have several low-performing schools in my district, which I can guarantee you they're not going to be because we have great principals. Help me with how many, or what exactly does that look like in terms of support? So I have 8 schools. Do each of them have a support person?
So
Explain a little
there are
bit
a lot
more.
of different ways that we support schools with low-performing designations. One of those is that we've actually provided a district mentor for each of those schools, and that's a district-level staff member. I actually have 6 schools myself, and for those 6 schools, I'll visit their school improvement team meetings, give feedback to the principal on those, and just be a sounding board. And as a mentor, I also arrange a team of staff from the district level, and then also folks that the principals would like to have in those groups to go into classrooms, do walkthroughs, and just give the principals some feedback and support as they work hard to improve their schools. In addition to that, the preliminary support plan does list a variety of ways that we're supporting schools in addition to that. And there's quite a detailed list of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with this support, Ms. Reed, I'm going to also assume that there's usually money that's needed for this. And I
Money
believe
is-
you mentioned that there was some ESSER funds that were going towards.
That is true. Money is always helpful when, we know the value of people in this school system. And anytime we can have support people in school in addition to what they have is always welcome to school principals and school staff members. That might include counselors. And we do have ESSER funding that has been used to provide additional counseling and social work positions, as well as 1 full-time interventionist for every middle school this year and next year through the duration of the ESSER funds.
Mr. Elliott?
Yeah, I have a question. It says each school will attend a district data dig at the beginning and middle of the year. Can you just expound on what that data dig is investigating and how it'll be used?
Absolutely. So we actually use an assessment called MAP Growth. And the beauty of that assessment is that we don't have to wait until the end of the year to see how our students are growing in reading and math specifically. So these students will take a small little assessment at the beginning of the year in both math and reading. And this is kindergarten through 8th grade. And then their progress is measured, kind of a little litmus test of how they're doing mid-year. And the MAP Growth program provides a lot of rich data that breaks our students' performance down by standards. It also breaks performance down by classroom, so school improvement teams can use that data to inform their next steps.
And what's the primary metric that we use to understand if these interventions are, making improvements as prescribed?
Absolutely. So, to measure the health of an intervention, you have to have a period of time in between what you start doing. Every 6 to 8 weeks or so, we have a gauge on that. We do that more regularly for some students than we do other students, depending on their level of need. But the MAP growth assessment that I just explained to you is what we do for all students to make sure that we have their growth. Now, on top of that, our teachers give regular formative assessments in their classrooms, unit assessments, just to gauge progress for students. And then they come together as groups and teams of teachers in what we call professional learning communities. You might hear PLCs mentioned a lot. The work of that team is a collaborative approach to ensuring that all of our students learn at high levels. And those teams meet weekly. Some of those teams meet more than weekly to make sure that their students are growing without waiting till the end of the year.
And the only question that I had was, we have the school improvement team at each school that comes up with the plan for the school. How was this plan? Who came up with this plan?
The district level plan was a team of directors.
Okay.
And these are all directors who support curriculum. That includes our elementary director, secondary director, technology, student services. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, testing and accountability. And we come together and we talk about and think about what we can do for those schools. But we also worked with the principals of those schools to ensure that these supports were meeting their needs. And like Ms. Churchill mentioned earlier, the use of our ESSER funds is specifically to address issues like this that have occurred because of that we're still in COVID recovery.
And it has disproportionately affected some of our school populations more than others, because when you look at the makeup of that growth score, it's highly correlated to proficiency on an end of grade test, which is highly correlated to poverty levels in our schools.
Are there any actual teachers involved in that?
Not in the
cohort
district
group?
Not in the district plan, but in the school improvement plans and teams themselves, teachers were involved with that.
Okay.
Now, I will say teachers are absolutely on our ESSER steering committee.
Other questions? Comments? Then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, do we have discussion? We've already discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The approval of the academic calendar for 23-24 is next. That's also Ms. Reed. Are there questions from the board concerning this?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Wetting your whistle, is that what you're doing over there?
That's right.
Exactly. Thank you. Read through the materials for this board meeting, and the mention of the hard work of the calendar committee. I just want, as a board member, just thank the hard work of that calendar committee, primarily because I do understand that the current state calendar law puts really strict guidelines on start and end date that's related to choosing the closest Monday to August 26th as the start date, and that creates a series of hurdles for the calendar committee to design a calendar that is truly student-focused and meets the needs in the most effective way of our students and teachers and our families. And so everything we do in Buncombe County Schools is always student-focused. We strive to be a very student-focused organization, and that's something I'm very proud of. And so to see this hurdle placed in front of our calendar committee is kind of challenging, because I know that the outcome may not be the most optimal outcome for our students and our teachers and our family. But I do want to thank that hard work before I ask some questions. But one, I think a lot of folks in the general public may not understand how a school calendar gets developed. I know that I needed to learn a bit about that too. So on the calendar committee, could you just, my question is, can you comment on the makeup of that calendar committee as far as students, parents, teachers, administrators? How is that committee made up?
Sure. Historically, that committee has had a list of stakeholders who take position on that committee each year. For stakeholders in the parent and the student group, we do ask school principals on a rotational basis to nominate folks to serve in that capacity. It tends to be students and parents who are active in the school and who might be willing to show up to 3 calendar committees a year, which is always a challenge. I will say, in addition to that, we have representatives from the Buncombe County Association of Educators on that committee. We have a principal from every one of our levels of school there, and they were actively involved this year in the makeup. And it's always important that we have teacher representatives from all levels. In addition to that, we do have representatives from district level departments to ensure that we are thinking about all possible aspects of the domino effect of a calendar. So how does it impact child nutrition? How does it impact elementary teachers through the letters training that they have to do again next year? So that's a consideration. So we need those experts from the district level at the table to think about all those things. Testing and accountability director is key, because we have to think about when exams fall at the end of the first semester and the end of the year. So that's how it has been made historically.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my other concern around the calendar, one of them anyway, is that I hear from the community within our schools, from both parents, students, and educators, is the placement of exams in high school after the Christmas holiday break. And I understand that, and I've one of my favorite sayings from a former board member is that 11th graders only get one shot in the 11th grade. They get one chance for those exams. And so the timing of those exams and relative to a holiday, can make those exams more difficult for the educator and for the student as well. In reading about some of the history of the state calendar law, there's some claims out there that there is a way, actually, even in our current calendar cycle, starting this late, because right now, I think this year, next year, and the year after will be the 3 years of a 7-year cycle where it pushes us really, really late with our start. Is there actually a feasible way to design a calendar, even with this late start, where exams could occur before the Christmas holiday?
So it's up to us to make that decision at the end of the day. But if we were to do that, looking at the draft calendar that's in front of you, we have 75 days in between the first day of school and the holiday break. If we were to eliminate some work days, it would add a few student days. But our goal is to get as close to 90 student days as possible to ensure the depth and coverage of the curriculum, especially in regards to a lot of our high school courses, specifically speaking to AP courses. We also want to pay special attention to having an equal first semester and second semester. So we wouldn't want to put a student at an advantage for taking a certain course in second semester because it's longer as opposed to a shorter first semester. So in short, I don't think it's possible to have the integrity of instruction that we do in Buncombe County Schools within our current calendar law and have those exams before holiday break, nor did the committee, because they have the same questions that you've had.
Yeah. I have a couple more. Okay, thank you.
You can wet your whistle again.
Yeah, okay, well, I may do that. Yeah, one of the other concerns that I hear quite often is about teacher workday placements. And it's to the kudos again to the calendar committee that finding the ability to have those teacher workdays within the first 9 weeks of the calendar. I've heard that concern for a number of years, so I thought that was a really good catch by the committee. One thing that with our alignment with instruction with AB Tech is another critical issue that I hear quite a bit about around with instruction. So what does this, I guess, state law and then the subsequent calendar that's being proposed, how does it line up with AB Tech?
So AB Tech's start date next year is August 21st. Our start date is the 28th, so we're a week out of alignment with the start date with AB Tech. In addition to that, in January, AB Tech starts second semester January 8th, while our students are still finishing first semester and preparing for first semester exams. So there's an overlap there in January of about 2 weeks for those students who are starting a new semester with AB Tech, but also finishing a semester with the Buncombe County Schools courses. In addition to that, the spring breaks are also off a week on the calendar that's in front of you now. AB Tech's spring break is the last week of March, and our proposed spring break is the first week in April.
So what are the consequences of that from an instructional perspective where we have that integration with AB Tech?
Yeah, so we have students who do have to juggle both, right? They have a little bit of overlap, and it's not a new thing for them to have to do. They've done it for a while. They manage, they have a lot of support from our staff to make sure that they are able to do so successfully.
Thank you.
Yes, other questions from other board members?
I'd like to just kind of ask a little bit. I'm actually just looking at this one little lone student day in June that's hanging out there at the first of a week, all by its lonesome for that week, and it's a Monday, and that's June 10th. That's really the one. That's like probably one of the bigger things that stood out to me. And with all of our additional training that our teachers and staff are having to go through this year, I just wonder if there's any way, because it looks to me like we would still have the buffer for the hours, if we could take that day and turn it into perhaps a designated teacher workday for some of the ongoing training or get a jump on some training that some of these, have to be done, that we wind up doing in August before the kids come back to school. And then I'm not sure what the plans were for the 11th, but, use that as an optional teacher workday. And if not, then you would still be adding on at least another day designated for training that, it sounds to me, just listening about everything that's coming down the pipeline, we don't have enough hours in the day.
Mm-hmm. Amy, can I ask, are you saying like we should go to 179 days, or you're saying we should take away that and then find a teacher work day somewhere in the calendar to take away?
I mean, I'd like to see if we could take that away. It looks like we have enough hours to cover us within the law. And let's just be honest. I mean, I think that would probably be a low attendance day for a lot of families are going to see that and recognize that as an option just to miss that day and start their summer vacation early. So, which, I mean, I can fully understand and support. So I'd like to just at least give a little nudge to, be able to offer some additional training time for our teachers and other staff members that may require it.
Do you have something you'd like to say?
Well, speaking as a former teacher and speaking like the feedback that I've gotten, from some teachers about the calendar, obviously, in theory, if we follow state law, our hands are tied, so we can't start any sooner than August 28th. I get that there are counties that are defying that, but we are at this time we're choosing to follow state law, so we can't start till August 28th. We have always, to my knowledge, always strived to do 180 days. That's always been our goal. Honestly, like at the end of the year, like you're just trying to get your room clean. You're trying to get packed up. So like picking up an extra day there isn't necessarily helpful. I feel like if we were going to do that, I'm not saying that I think we should, but if we were, I would like to see that more in the middle of the year where there could be helpful built-in days for PLC training. It does seem like this calendar, with regard to early release and teacher work days, how does this calendar compare to years past? Is there as much time being built in as there has been in the past? 'Cause it felt, if I didn't compare it, it just felt like it was shorter.
And I should have last year's in front of me, and I apologize that I don't. What I will say is one of the priorities of this committee was to have more of those orange PLC days, which are paperwork days for teachers. We did add a couple more of those this year, in this proposed calendar than we have this year, at the request of those teachers, especially elementary, who are spending a lot of their designated teacher work days doing letters training. That was very important to them. So we can easily change the orange days blue, and then you're going to see more PLC days on that calendar. That doesn't mean teachers can't work together on those days if they want to. They absolutely can, but those are protected days for them to do paperwork, like grading, and they're strategically placed at the end of quarters throughout the year when report cards go home. So I'm sorry I can't answer your exact question on the number.
Dr. Jackson, do you have things you want to say?
7.
I will tell you the committee had ample ability to add more of those days. And because their lens is making sure we have quality, uninterrupted instructional time for students, they chose not to add any more to this calendar.
Yeah, so when I'm looking at this year's calendar, the current calendar, I'm counting 7 early dismissals compared to 4.
Compared to 6.
6?
So when you look at the blue PLC
I
early
see.
dismissal and then the 4 orange, that's 6.
I see.
And they
Okay.
had the opportunity to add in more, but if you'll see, there are a lot of work days kind of strategically placed and scattered through each month.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just chose not to interrupt instructional time by adding any more in the calendar.
Madam Chair, I have another question, sorry. Ms. Reed, speak to and I know we've done this for years, and many years ago, I was on the calendar committee as a parent. When did we start going to the early release or early dismissal? And my question is, getting feedback from teachers, do they like those early dismissal days? As a substitute teacher, you know, for kids to get out at 1, they only have, you know, by the time they do all their afternoon activities, it's really just a couple of hours of time for them to do other things.
It's just a few hours, but they're valuable. And I know that our teachers really do appreciate the time, whether it's a PLC day or a paperwork day. Time is a valuable commodity.
Yes, I understand that.
So they do love those, and they use
They like the
them.
early dismissal versus having the full days.
Oh, versus a full day? I think anybody would love
Prefer
a full
the
day,
full
right? If
days.
you're putting up against each other,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We also have to think about our hours of instruction that we have to submit, you know,
Right.
to DPI to show that we've met our required 1025 hours when we start trimming
hours.
time off of our days.
Okay.
Which is what I was looking at, and my computer is rebelling against me, but I believe that right now we have, oh, thank you. Except for yours is, okay. I'm just trying to get to that day in June. So it looks like we have some wiggle room again in our hours, total hours, that if we take that 10th of June away as a student day, it's 6 hours, and I still can't see it on here, but I think we are at 100 and...
We have wiggle room, so we're at
Yes.
1,068 hours.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
that's a 4-hour day. So when we report instructional time, those early dismissals are 4 hours.
Oh,
So that
okay,
takes
even
us to
better.
1,064 hours. So we do have wiggle room. And I will just say historically, it has been important to this district to have a 180-day calendar, which is why that's what's in front of you today.
I guess, and I can certainly understand that, and I don't want to sound like I'm, you know, anti-student learning, because I'm not, far from it. But I'm just looking at this particular calendar and just feel like with this year, given all of the new things that, you know, we're having our staff get trained on, that, you know, this is actually the perfect calendar to allow that opportunity for that additional time that we don't seem to be able to find within the school year. So that's just, and historically speaking, you know, 4 hours on the last day of school, I feel like maybe that's, if anything, more review.
We can meet the letter of the law and take that day off the calendar if that's the board's wish.
It may be something that, you know, we need to think about even, but get some feedback.
Other questions or comments from board members?
Madam Chair, I have one more.
I could tell, Mr. Elliott.
It's that chair, I think.
It was
It's that
written
seat.
on your face.
Thank you. I just wanted to, comment that obviously we as a board fully hear a lot of the concern that's in the public. Our teachers, our students, our families. This calendar impacts all of their lives rather dramatically. It can lend itself to, students having their needs met, as we talked about earlier, or falling a little bit short. And we struggle with the impact of this calendar law on our calendar committee and its ability, to design a calendar that's as student focused as it could be. As mentioned earlier, some counties in the state are deciding to effectively defy the state law and pass student calendars, or school calendars, that disregard that mandated start date in order to design a calendar. And in essence, they're breaking state law. And so, I definitely feel that having just taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and laws of the state of North Carolina.
Just a few minutes ago.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago. That's fairly problematic, and for all of us likely. And but I still feel that it's really important that we illustrate to our students, our teachers, our families, our whole school community, that we hear them and that we are here to advocate on their behalf as much as possible to get what's the more student-focused option whenever possible. So with that, I just would like to make a request to Mr. Shatley and Superintendent Jackson, if you could please draft a resolution to the General Assembly that would capture our thoughts and concerns regarding the impact of the North Carolina state calendar law on our ability to most effectively meet the needs of our students and teachers and families.
Happy to work with the superintendent to do that. If that's the will of the board. It sounds good.
Yes, thank you.
I'm seeing heads nod
Yes,
up and down.
absolutely.
We'll bring a resolution back for your consideration next month.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I need to discuss this?
We haven't had a motion yet.
Are we
and-
going to have a motion?
I would, to follow what Mr. Elliott just said, I would like to make a motion that for now we table the vote on the currently proposed school calendar until we have that resolution, and we come back to it next month.
So you want to postpone the vote until next month? On our consideration of the calendar.
Am I
until next
allowed
month.
to make that motion? Yes, that is my motion.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We could use the word postpone instead of table, if that's okay.
Yep,
There's some
postpone is
kind of
great.
Problem with, I prefer to do it postpone, if you don't mind.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to postpone the vote for the calendar to next meeting, please.
Thank you. Thank you. And you seconded?
I second.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Well, we're going to discuss again. I just want you to know that the attorney has written me notes that I'm not asking for discussion. I think we're discussing just fine, but
After the motion.
after the motion. Okay, so is there more discussion here?
Madam Chair, may I?
Certainly.
Thank you. Board members, if I might, and thank you for the opportunity to share. I've just been sitting here smiling because I very much appreciate hearing your heart as each of you are advocating for our students and for our teachers, for our schools, for our families, and for our communities. The way the current state calendar law is written, in my personal opinion, is not student-friendly. In addition to some of the items that you've mentioned, most importantly, being able to align our calendar with the community college, with AB Tech, to assist our students who are taking classes both in our school system and AB Tech classes. We have seniors who are early graduates who would like to matriculate to a university, and they're unable to start second semester on time because of a state law. In addition, we're required to administer the ACT, for example, and we wind up with a late start date having less instructional time. A better example is our AP examinations. The AP examinations are set nationally, which give no consideration for when a state may start school. So our students in the state of North Carolina actually have less time in class before having to take an advanced placement exam. And so certainly another issue. I appreciated the question about what's referred to as an unbalanced semester. And so I'll share with you in a past district, basically an unbalanced semester is having fewer student days in the first semester, more student days in the second semester to allow the examinations to happen before Christmas. In a previous district, we did that at the request of teachers, and we certainly supported that. Having done that as a pilot, our teachers reflected back to us that it actually cut or curtailed their ability to completely teach the curriculum they needed to teach. And so they felt like even though the high school principals had worked with their master schedule and tried to place classes in the first semester that might have been easier to get through the curriculum in fewer days, they felt like they weren't able to do that to mastery, and so the district decided to no longer use an unbalanced semester. So it's possible, but it's certainly something that teachers in districts that have tried that have said it just didn't work very well, and so that unbalanced semester doesn't work quite as well. And then To the conversation of the instructional hours, there was a time our calendar law required 180 days, which is why we have that number so ingrained in our heads, 180 days. And the change to the calendar law then gave us the option of 185 days or 1,025 instructional hours. 185 days, some years, is impossible to get with the start date and the stop date, and so we have to rely on the 1,025 hours. The reason that we're reticent to give away those instructional hours is that because some years, as you well know, we have so much inclement weather that we're in danger of not getting to 1,025 hours. And as a teacher in this school, I certainly remember teaching on Saturdays because we weren't able to get the time in. And so we don't want to bring back Saturday school. It was interesting, the students who had perfect attendance on Saturdays and the families who may have looked forward to that. But that being said, so we do have to be careful with that. There was a change this past year that becomes a tool in our toolkit, which allows us to use 5 remote days for those instructional hours. So we do now have more opportunity to gain back those instructional hours without having to go to an extended day or to Saturday school. And so all that to say, I appreciate, Madam Chair, the conversation, the questions of our board members. I appreciate your impassioned advocacy for our students and our staff members, our schools. And I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Shatley to draft a resolution that captures, I've tried to take good notes, your sentiments so that we can send that on to our state leaders and share the need to prioritize our students and be child-centered in all we do. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so I can move on to the consent agenda. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Thank you, board members. It's time for the consent agenda.
Did we vote on the postponement? We did. Okay, sorry.
On the consent agenda, we have minutes from November 3rd, 2022 regular session, minutes from November 16, 2022 special call meeting, personnel report with addendum, sole source procurement request, coherent math counseling, ESSER funding, policies for second reading, policy 2430, dissemination of and preservation of policies, policy 5030, community use of facilities, policy 7510, leave, policy 7540, voluntary shared leave, policy 7810, evaluation of licensed employees, and of course we're going to elevate them too, and then policy on 7815 is evaluation of non-certified licensed employees. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? On the information agenda, do I have to read that? No, Information agenda is the finance reports, policies for first reading. Policy 2121, board member conflict of interest. Policy 2110, duties of officers. Policy 4050, children of military families. Policy 4152, unsafe school choice transfer. Policy 7262, communicable disease employees. Policy 7800, 1610, professional and staff development. That is the information agenda. We will have another board meeting on January 12th, 2023. Work session begins at 4 in the executive conference room, and open session will begin at 5:30. Thank you for coming and staying, and I hope you have a nice holiday. I'd already adjourned. I'm sorry, but could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Could I get a second? Do we need to discuss this?
Yes.
We need to discuss this? No. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Like I said, thanks.